How you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Vaughn Coleman Presents. I am proud to be here and proud to bring on my next guest, who's a friend of mine. We met at a convention, as you'll see as a reoccurring theme on my show. I tend to go to a lot of those. So without further ado, let's bring her on. Stefania Sassano, how you doing?
Hi. Hello, everyone. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. How's everything going with you? You going to a lot of cons still?
Yeah, I'm actually going to Emerald City in Seattle in a few weeks, and then Chicago is after that at the end of March. So I'm really looking forward to those.
I haven't been to those two yet. Are you going as a guest, or are you going as like a what do they call it now when they invite
Like a
cosplayers?
like a um I don't know what they call
Content
it, but like
creator or something?
oh yeah yeah yeah
Is
yeah.
that what they
So
call it?
this I think there's another thing for like cosplayers, but
Hmm.
I applied for the content creator badge for both Emerald City or and Chicago. Otherwise, I would not have gone.
Oh, really? Yeah,
And
that'll.
Yeah, and I got both of them, so I will be going as a content creator, so making stuff for the con,
That's
all
great.
weekend. So it's fun. 4 days is Emerald City, 3 days is Chicago.
Yeah, you've been on the content grunt for a while. I remember. So I first met you at Terrificon, which I might
Yeah.
have to miss this year. Unfortunately, I'll see. Fingers crossed, because Tampa Bay is the same weekend as that, and I might be working Tampa Bay, which is a
Mm.
shame because the guest of honor at Terrificon this year is, right?
No, I haven't checked.
Chris Claremont.
Really? Oh
Yeah,
my god!
yeah,
No
Chris Claremont.
way.
Yeah, Chris Claremont. So, and obviously, we'll get into it, but obviously, Steph's a very big Rogue fan. I love Rogue too. Um, but yeah, so he's going to be the guest of honor. I think Art Adams is going to be there too. He draws a great Rogue as well.
Hmm.
I forget the list though. They announced it like way in advance with Terrificon. There are guests that are
Yeah.
be like weeks away, and they're still announcing people. But like
Hmm.
Terrificon, I mean, I met the guy who runs it. He's a great guy, Mitch Halleck. Like even when I was hanging out with him at Baltimore, he's talking about his plans for Terrificon. Like this guy, he's
Hmm.
always like in advance. He's great. Which I guess you have to be, when you order a
Oh yeah.
space like that.
Yeah. I didn't. When did that news come out? Because I checked Terrificon's site. I don't know when. It was like a while ago.
I'm not sure, but I remember seeing it when he posted it on Instagram. Because they have an Instagram too. But yeah, so I remember when I first met you, you had the. I should have had the image. You could find stalk my Instagram, guys. I'll give you permission. But I have the. You were wearing the Rogue costume, but it was like the John Romita Jr. Rogue, with the black and the green. And it was that combined with, I think it was Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do remember that.
I did a mashup of the two. I still have the Winter Soldier arm. It's like up on my shelf, just chilling there, probably collecting dust. I haven't picked it up since, but it was like falling apart. It lasted a good while though.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, you get your usage out of it. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
What made you want to do that cosplay? I'm curious because that's a really unique combination.
I like mashing up cosplays, and with Rogue being my favorite character, I was like, what's another character I could mash her up with and also like have a cool name? I was like, why not the Winter Soldier? Because I wanted to build the arm. I wanted to do a Winter Soldier cosplay. And I was like, why not just mash up the two and just go with that? And I did. And it turned out pretty cool.
That's really cool. How do you make these? Because I've always found I was like, oh, I want to cosplay this character, and then I'm like, I'm lazy, so I kind of don't. But how do you go about making this stuff?
Um, so for the Winter Soldier arm, I used EVA foam, which is a craft foam, and a really good glue to use is contact cement. And what I did was I like wrapped my arm in a plastic wrap and duct tape, and then I just started tracing the design of the arm on me, and then I cut myself out of it and traced all the patterns on a foam and started cutting the pieces out and gluing them together. I would look up like stencils to use for the shoulder part because it was bigger. Try to find ways to make it like bulkier. But that's basically the gist of it of how you make stuff with EVA foam. You wrap the body part in plastic, trace the design, cut it out, and trace it on foam. And then you just like sand stuff down, glue them together. You gotta like sometimes get perfect angles for seamless
Mm.
finishes. And then afterwards, once it's done, you use like those like stuff you cover holes and lines with, and then sand that down and start painting.
Oh, what is it? Putty, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I
I remember
forgot what it's
taking wood
called.
shop class, and I was probably
Yeah.
pretty bad at it, but I respect it though. Like I know how like the sanding. I remember takes
Oh,
forever. It
yeah.
was such a pain. Like I bring it up to my shop like after days. I'd be like, "Is this good enough?" Like, nope, you still got to keep doing it. And so I just
Oh,
my
yeah.
friends and I, just make conversations like just doing this for hours.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
workout though. It's a good arm workout.
It is. It's harder to sand EVA foam. I
Mm.
mean, I really wouldn't call it sanding. I have like this tool that I use. It's like a drill pen that you could put like a sander on, and I use that for the edges of the foam. So that way I can have like seamless like connections for the pieces. Um, but once you sand it, it like gets everywhere. So I have to wear. I don't have goggles. I just have like regular glasses that I wear
Mm.
for it.
That's yeah, to get that's crazy. I mean, it's just the amount of work because you see these cons and you just see people and you're like, oh, that's cool. But it's hard to just think about how much work you guys put into the cosplays. I mean, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, the amount of stuff I can't even imagine like how much time that takes. Even just the one arm, right? That must take.
That took a bit of time, actually. I would say so. The first thing that I created with EVA foam and actually is Warbler too, which is a malleable plastic. When you heat it up, it you can bend it and it sticks to itself. Um, and I, for the first time, used that for my Loki helmet. That one, the Loki helmet, while I'm like proud of how I did it, it doesn't look that great. But it was my first ever cosplay make, so I was proud of that at the time, but like looking at it now, I'm like, oh, I could have done better. I made a
Yeah.
second one that actually came out better. Um, and Warbler is kind of hard to use if you don't know how to use it properly because it sticks to itself and you can't heat it up too much or else it's like too soft. Um, and you gotta make sure you get the bubbles out because the bubbles are the worst part of it.
I mean, it's just so much detail that goes into all this. It's really so.
Yeah.
Do you have to? Is that like a big consideration when you're like about to cosplay your character? Like it's like all right, how much work is this gonna be, and all that. Like certain characters, I imagine those ones with the huge armor that people do for I don't know what they are,
Yes.
Warcraft or what I've never played.
Oh
Those
yeah.
must take forever, and then for occasional people to go, oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Um, I always try and plan out what I want to do and how I want to do it. Um, because there are like a bunch of cosplays that I want to do. I just got a 3D printer like a few months ago and I printed out, I could show you. I've done Black Cat, but I wanted to print out the mask, but I started printing out the armor for her for the PS4 version.
Oh, the PS4.
I had to look at this. I have it's a a trial run when you start making stuff with a 3D printer. But like these are all pieces that I made, different sizes of the Black Cat mask, and I had to test them out because I couldn't get the right size for some reason. This actually was the right size, just needed it to be a little smaller, and I finally printed out the perfect one. But yeah, it's you try to plan this stuff out because it's easier now with 3D printer. It does it for you. You don't have to do
Mm-hmm.
the work. But the work that you have to do is to measure correctly, make sure you're measuring it correctly. Because you don't want to waste filament. Filament ain't that cheap. I mean, it's not like expensive, but you don't want to
It
spend
adds
so
up.
much. Um, but it's a trial and error run with making cosplays. EVA foam, people that know how to work it well because people make so many things out of EVA foam. Their whole costume could be out of it. Complicated weaponry can be out of it, and it's like it doesn't look like foam. It looks like somebody 3D printed it. Those are very talented people.
That's crazy. There's so you've got any see I know you've hinted at Black Cat, Rogue,
Hmm.
I imagine. I mean there's so many different rogues you could do and
Oh
it's
yeah,
you've done so many of them. I'm
yeah.
sure you haven't hit the end yet. Are there any other cosplays you got coming up that you want to hint at or you want to keep those under wraps?
Um, I do have a Star Wars cosplay coming.
Ooh,
There's another Star Wars one that I want to do. I haven't worked on it yet, but moving towards it, just not quite yet. Um, there's not really others, I don't think. I'm trying to plan stuff that I want to print with my 3D printer because now I have like free will to do it. Um, but I actually at one point, this is before I got a printer, I was like, it would be so cool to make like a Mandalorian rogue. And I actually know somebody that made a Mandalorian rogue suit. Or yeah, she made the suit. But I don't think she used a 3D printer. I think she just like sewed the costume. I don't know where she got the helmet from, but it came out really cool. And I was thinking it would be really cool to actually make like a 3D printed armor suit of a Mandalorian rogue.
that's yeah. I mean, that would be. I mean, that's what I was about to say. Is those armors must take forever, and even if you get the armor itself built, which I'm sure they have at this
Hmm.
point,
Oh
because they
yeah.
know people aren't gonna do every arm. Like I'd pay extra to if to do the every to get it done rather than do every
Yeah.
single plate. But even then, the spray paint job you have to do if you want to do your own
Hmm.
custom, and the measurements, like you said, like all these things I barely even think about. And I'm sure artists don't even think about when they're designing the character. Maybe some do, but they're just like,
Hmm.
yeah, this looks cool. And then they don't think about, all the pain the cosplayers are going to have to go through to get
Yeah.
there.
I mean, that's like how I think. I'm like, this would be so cool. And then I start to try and do it or design it or find like 3D print files to use. And it's like, once I get it printed, or if it's a complicated piece that I can't get measured correctly, I'm like, why am I doing this? Why did I
Yeah.
decide to do this? What people have used, there's like ways to measure, like if you're going to make a helmet, there's ways to measure for a helmet. Um, there's something you actually make on the 3D printer that is like two prongs, and you just like put them on like one on the bottom of your chin and one on top of your head. And then you'll have that like measurement for a helmet and like side to side as well. People have also 3D rendered their head to make it like more precise, their measurement. Because there's programs you can use where you can have a 3D render of your head, and then you can put the thing that you're going to print, like the helmet, on top of the head and like size it perfectly. And that's like I found the most precise way of doing it, I guess. But sometimes, 3D rendering to get a 3D render scan of your head is like kind of pricey. I think I paid like $5 for an app to do kind of a crappy rendering of my head, which kind of worked. But I mean, after 4 tries of trying to make this mask, I finally got it. So I guess something worked.
Yeah. Trial and error. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
It reminds me of the dentist office when they have to do the. I don't know if you've ever done that, where they have to like scan your head.
Yeah.
You ever done
Yeah.
that? Or like taking an X-ray? Is it like that at all?
Um, It's kind of like taking an X-ray, yeah. You just stand still and have someone with your phone like go around your head
Hmm.
and it gets like all around. And then it should scan like perfectly. I have to actually redo mine because like I said, mine didn't come out that well. But what you're supposed to do, which is pretty funny, is you at least this app requires it, you put on a bald cap or like I have a wig cap that I put on because you can't have like hair in the 3D rendering because it'll just like mess it up. So it has to be like a smooth top all around and all that. So it's pretty funny putting on a bald cap to take a 3D scan.
That's crazy. Like Blue Man Group.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so cool. It's so. What inspired you to start doing cosplay then?
um, you know, it the idea came. I've always loved dressing up. Ever since I was a
Mm,
kid. Halloween's my favorite time of year because you
I
get to be in
love it.
costume. Um, And so when I first figured out like cosplaying was a thing, I it was senior year of college, I want to say. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do after college, especially like after COVID and after like it messed up with like all my plans. Because I
Mhm.
had so many plans before COVID happened and it all got ruined. Um, I was like, I don't know what to do after college. I'm like, I'm stuck. And so I found cosplaying. Well, I had done it. Let's take it back to fall of 2020, I think it was, where I first made the Loki helmet. So I guess it kind of started there. And then I didn't do anything from Halloween till the end of that school year, so in the spring. And I was like, maybe I should kind of go back into this. And, because I had a lot of fun doing it. I had a rogue costume from Halloween as well that I bought. And I was like, why don't I start making some TikToks? I kind of like was in this mental state where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just do something that I like to do and see where that goes. And I was like, let me just start making some TikToks and videos and see how that goes. And it turned out pretty good. Wasn't expecting it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first met you, you were on the TikTok grind. I remember you like, I was like, oh, you have a cool road costume. You're like, yeah, I have a TikTok. Here it is. It was,
Yeah.
you were very much, which is, respect the hustle. Like that's how I
Oh,
got
yeah.
friends with you there. You
That
were
was the
very,
very beginning. That was the
yeah.
year that I started.
You were like,
That
I have
summer.
however many K on TikTok, which was, it's good. I mean, yeah, you're always on the grind. That's a lot. Do you post like every day? Like, how do you go about that?
I used to. So in the beginning, I used to post like 2 to 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And like sometimes I would like take breaks and would post like one day and then like 3 times a week, whatever. But I recently have started like posting less because it's just like it takes a toll on you after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Having
Oh
to
yeah.
try to come up with like ideas for videos, and sometimes you just don't want to get into cosplay, you just want to do other things. Like I have started venturing towards film stuff and talking
Mm-hmm.
about Marvel and Marvel comics. Um, so I'm still doing cosplay, but like I wanted to venture off and try other new things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sometimes you just like I don't feel like posting today. It's so tiring to try and come
Yeah.
up with ideas, and then sometimes a video not doing that well and you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the point? But I still enjoy it. It's just a matter of taking time to refresh yourself and try and come up with new ideas.
It's very easy to get burnout. I find that
Hmm.
too, and they really, and the algorithms typically favor that. I mean, I guess, look, I'm no expert. Maybe that is genuinely the best system, but it totally. I remember when they started changing the algorithm to where it favored like more watch time and like more frequent uploads, and that's why
Hmm.
you had people like PewDiePie and these Let's Players blow up, and it was great for them. But I remember animators, because they spend months on like these 5-minute animations, right?
Yeah.
And it would completely screw them over because they would have these guys who could upload like 20-minute videos every day for a
Hmm.
week, and it would totally, that would totally help them out. And I think that's one of the things too, is because I'm a writer, but it's like finding that balance between, uploading what people want or what do you think is going to blow up, and what the algorithm favors, and like, what you want to do and what you're passionate about. And that's always, I feel like, the struggle, with um, I mean, I'm impressed with how much content you're able to come out with just Rogue. But then again, you have
Yeah.
hundreds of issues to pull from. So I guess,
Yeah.
you know.
um it's it was crazy because like at the beginning I felt like posting on TikTok there was so much more content inspiration and so many more audios that I would find that I could use that would go towards the character or like anything Marvel.
Hmm.
But nowadays, I just can't find that inspiration anymore. I don't know
Hmm.
if there's just less of it or if it's just not showing up on my feed anymore. Um, but it's making it a struggle to come up with stuff. I mean, now I'm trying to like come up with like original ideas.
Hmm.
Um, so hopefully that will help. I sometimes I just sit and I think of something and I take my phone and I just write it down real quick and see if I can come up with a plan for it for a TikTok.
My phone notes are crazy too, with
Yeah.
all just the ideas, and then you look at some of them and you're like, "This is gonna take a while. It'll be worth
Yeah.
it," but it's like, I want to get
Yeah.
5 videos out, and this one's gonna take maybe like 2 weeks.
Yep.
Um, I
And
get that all
sometimes
the
it's
time.
like you work so hard on a video and then it just flops. And it's like, oh,
Oh,
well.
that's happened too. I wrote like a 17 page, probably like 2 years ago, 17 pages of for an X-Men video essay. And I think it's gonna be great, but I'm like, what am I gonna get, like 100 views? I'm gonna
Hmm.
spend 2 weeks of work on it. This is covering like 80 issues, like that happens all the time. course, it's Claremont. It is, to be funny enough, it is, I think, covering Rogue. No, is it covering Rogue's first? Rogue's first joining the X-Men, but her first appearance, I think I've already covered in
Mhm.
another one. But that brings me. So I do want to ask. So what got you into like Marvel and like all this stuff to begin with? Because I feel like everyone always has a story with that.
I had, um, I believe I first stumbled upon Marvel. Well, it was because of my brother got me into Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I first got into the MCU though. I was introduced through that way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I grew up with like Spider-Man, watching Spider-Man,
Oh yeah.
the Raimi trilogy. So I knew that. I knew the Fantastic Four movies. I grew up with them. So I knew of Marvel, and I guess I started going into the MCU, Marvel Studios more, in high school.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it first started. And then the X-Men came, I want to say in college, like maybe like beginning of college. It's quite a blur for me, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it
Like
happens.
I don't remember where I exactly started being fascinated with the X-Men, but I remember I watched the animated series during COVID. I remember that. Um, but prior to COVID, I knew of the X-Men and like were a fan of them. Um, so it's kind of a blur in that area for me, which is it's funny because I feel like it's a blur because everything that happened like prior to COVID was kind of and during COVID was a blur for me. Like I kind
Mm-hmm.
of just like pushed that all away, you know?
Yeah. No, I know it's such a weird time period that just even now to reflect on, I can't even imagine how weird it's going to be.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
all years later, and then explaining that to like my kids, like, oh yeah, there was this period of time where everyone was just locked indoors, and it's like
Yeah.
this black hole of time, in our life. It really is like you're like, what did I do during that time? And you did
Yeah.
stuff, but it's like hard to quantify it or like imagine just how long it was, especially because for us, like, I mean, that was like our early 20s when everyone was supposed to be
Mhm.
going out and they're like, yeah, actually you're going to be inside for like
Yeah.
a year, have fun. What was it, 2 weeks, right? And then it was like
Yeah.
actually 2 months, actually 6 months, and it was like a slow. It was like, okay, we're not leaving anytime soon.
Mhm.
Like you kind of, so it was like, all right, time to start binge watching or binge reading or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I did.
It's funny. So I like was a fan of the X. I'm the same way in terms of I think a lot of our generation grew up, uh, with the movies first, and then slowly we're like we want to learn where this comes from, whether it's the movies and then the TV shows and all that. Like Justice League, the animated show was like that and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie were probably my introductions, and there's still some of my favorites. And I would move in further and further into comics. I remember I think I started like fully diving into X-Men comics in college. It was like that's when I started reading Chris Claremont's run, um, Giant Size X-Men,
Mhm.
and so it sounds like we got around like really got into X-Men around the same time.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, what was your first X-Men like comics that you read?
The first was well because I was such a fan of Rogue. The first comic that I read was actually Avengers Annual 10.
Oh, really?
Um, so I because I was so like fascinated with her and I want to know her origin story and I just picked up that comic and
Yeah.
read it for the first time.
It's great, Michael. Yeah, I do remember that too. When we first met, I was like, "Oh, the guy who created Juice right here."
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great read. That's a great. Rogue was such a great villain too. I mean,
Oh
even
yeah.
though she's better as a hero, she was a great. Like even just her powers are perfect when her opening panel wasn't it beating Captain America and Thor?
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a perfect introduction for a
I
villain.
know. And make
She's
like I love villains too. So having somebody that I love as a character I love villain to hero stories. Those are I don't
mhm,
know. I just really favor those a lot. Because I feel like with characters there can be two sides of them where they are the villain, where they are the hero.
mhm,
Not everyone is like a perfect being.
mhm.
So seeing her as the villain first and being this like powerhouse of a character was seeing her beat Thor first of all. It was like
Yeah,
I this is the best introduction of a character
yeah.
that I have seen.
Yeah, she beats Carol Danvers. Like, I mean, you see her later, but like off
Yeah.
panel, Captain America, Thor. and then and with every defeat, it's like, okay, she gets stronger. Like that's such a
Mhm.
perfect. She was such a perfect addition to the Brotherhood.
Mhm.
Her ties to Mystique were great too.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I mean, that was great. It's funny. Michael Golden was telling me that he didn't know she was supposed to be like a teenager until after he finished the issue, which is why she looks older in that first appearance.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes a lot of sense because I remember I was reading them at the time. I was like, "Oh, this makes sense, whatever." And then, like, later on, I was trying to figure out how old the X-Men were supposed to be, and I was
mhm.
like, "Isn't isn't Rogue supposed to be, like, really young?" Because it made so much sense for her to be younger. Because I know she had this, like, age gap with her and Gambit.
Yeah.
I was
Oh, really?
like,
Oh, I guess that makes
I
sense.
mean, yeah, because I remember looking it up, I was like, "Oh, they have an age gap." So, like, why does she look older than she already is? It was confusing, but you know what? It was the '70s, '80s. It all made sense.
How old is she in her first appearance? Is she a teenager or is she an adult? I don't.
Well, I don't know exactly. I thought she was supposed to be, like, 16, not gonna lie. I don't remember how old she was supposed to be.
Because she's older than Shadowcat. She
Yeah.
Colossus is because Colossus. I don't know. They never specify it. They don't even give her a real name for like. It wasn't until actually I think Anna Marie, I believe. So I'm family friends with the producer of the movies, and I believe that he realized when they were writing the script, he was like, "Oh, Rogue doesn't have a name. They just call her Rogue," and so he I think named Rogue after his mother. Um, who had passed away recently. So that was
Mhm.
which is a big part of the character now. And that's interesting. There's so many characters. Even Forge to this day doesn't have a name.
Oh, yeah.
He's just Forge. I didn't realize that because I was looking it up. He's just Forge. Rogue,
Yeah.
and I guess you never question it because
Oh,
it's
no.
like she's a rogue. It makes perfect sense. That's she's so you never question it.
Yeah. I it makes sense that she's young though. She's supposed to be young in her first appearance because she ran away from home when she was young. So then she met Mystique. And then I don't think it was that long after that she had joined the Brotherhood and defeated the Avengers.
Hmm.
So it makes sense for her to be young in that first appearance.
Yeah, yeah, no, it totally does. She's definitely like, I think she's probably like around Colossus's age, if not a bit older, is what I'd place her at.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
It's hard because I'm like, oh, how old is she? And then all these articles like, oh, she's probably this age. Well, are we
Mhm.
talking now or her first appearance? So
Yeah.
I can't seem to find an exact answer, but I'll have to deep dive. I guess you just kind of ballpark it.
Yeah.
One of the things about Rogue too that makes her great is like I found there was a video talking about it, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. One of the things about that character is she's always like, even from her beginning, because she has this guilt about being a villain. It makes her kind of a better hero in a way, because like she has one of her earliest, maybe even her earliest mission. There's a part where like, what is it? Madam Hydra has this pistol, like this blaster that's like gonna kill Wolverine, and she dives in the way, and she's just
Yes.
constantly throwing herself in danger because
Mhm.
she wants to show that she's a hero, and so she like sacrifices herself like multiple times.
Mhm.
Like she's makes for a great hero because she has that whole guilt factor, and
Yeah.
she has these like villainous powers because like that's naturally touching people and hurting them.
Mhm.
She's suited perfectly for a villain, but she has the heart of a hero, and that's what makes her
Yeah. And you
such a
don't
great
see
character.
that you see that all throughout her run in the comics, like, even in, like, I was reading, what was I reading? I just started reading Excalibur, um, but even, like, in Excalibur, she has these moments, or also in the Rogue and Gambit series, she has these moments where she's, like, still feeling guilty about what she has done in the past. She hasn't forgiven herself,
Hmm.
and so she is trying to learn to, like, accept that, and eventually this leads her to actually control her powers. I think it was the end of the Rogue and Gambit series. She learns to control it because she always had this fear uh, of her power. She was scared of always touching people because she was afraid of killing them, and she just had this whole fear factor her whole life, and she has to learn to put that aside,
Hmm.
and face her fears basically. And that was the only way she was able to learn how to control her power. It was like deep down in the back of her mind, she just had to reach for it and just accept it.
Was that the Mr. and Mrs. X series? Is that what they called that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I haven't read that yet. I
Oh, it was a good run.
was a good run.
I enjoyed it, yeah.
And you're
They
talking
have
about the
such a
new
chemistry.
Excalibur, but her and Rogue. You know what's funny is apparently I didn't know this. Chris Claremont doesn't think Rogue and Gambit are a good couple, and
Really?
he created both of them. Yeah,
That's
I didn't
so
know that.
funny.
But I look. I think they're a good couple. I don't know if I if I told Chris. I am curious how Chris would react if I told him that. I'm sure he gets told that all the time. I'm sure
Well,
he's.
I guess it kind of makes sense. I can see where he's coming from because they had such an on and off relationship and it was almost kind of like toxic.
Mhm.
So I can understand where he's coming from that, but they had both had to grow apart. They
Mhm.
couldn't grow together. That was the only
Right.
way they could be together. Um, and eventually it just worked out in the end. But I just find it so funny that he created both of them and
He
he
doesn't
doesn't think they're a
approve.
good couple.
No. Yeah.
And it's funny because like people love them so much. Like
Oh yeah.
some people say like they're their favorite ex couple.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm about to get to Gambit's first appearance. Like where I'm at, reading his Claremont's run. Rogue is like MIA because she got sucked in the siege again, sacrificing herself.
Yeah.
She's dead, kind of, but like it's Rogue. She's fine. I
Yeah.
haven't gotten to the Savage Land stuff. I know everyone loves that,
Oh
especially
yeah.
artists and cosplayers love the Savage Land Rogue. I mean, it's iconic. So I'm
Hmm.
getting there. Um,
I have a statue of it actually on my
oh,
shelf back
really?
there. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite look for the character? Like favorite costumes?
You know what look that I actually enjoyed and I wish we got more of was the Extreme X-Men Rogue.
Is that
I
the one
really
with the
enjoyed
hood?
that look. That was
Hmm.
her red suit. She had like a red and blue suit, shorter hair. She had these like red glasses too.
I think if I remember, Michael Golden. I asked him if he had some favorite rogues, and I think I'm not sure if it was this one, but if this is the only red one I could think of. He was actually like showing me because he had like a whole folder full of like all these rogue designs. He said
Hmm.
that this red one was one of his favorites, so I think it might
Yeah.
have been this one.
And we didn't see much of that. It was a short period of time we got to see that look, and I was like, I really love this. I tried to recreate it, but like I want to upgrade it, make it like actually accurate.
Is this '90s? Looks very
um,
'90s, or is it early 2000s?
I thought it was early 2000s. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it is early 2000s.
Okay.
All right. Yep, that
Okay.
makes sense. The shades, it looks very leather. The
Yeah.
leather jackets, that's
Oh yeah, in the early 2000s, even late 90s, it was the small sunglasses, leather
oh
jackets.
yeah. The yeah, that was is Jim Lee's your favorite one? Because I know that's the one you use the most. Is that one
I
your
love that
favorite?
one. The
Yeah,
yellow
it's
and green, it's just such an iconic look. And
mhm.
it's crazy because I just gotten some like X-Men books recently with like the trading cards that had come out from the 90s when the X-Men were huge. And I
Mhm.
was reading I think it was the inside cover of it and it was talking about how in the 90s, 80s and 90s the X-Men were like booming, especially with
Oh
X-Men number
yeah.
1 coming out, which is the highest selling comic of all time.
Yep.
That plus the animated series and like the whole run that the X-Men had during that time was like so good and they were so popular. And I was thinking, I was like, wow, that must have been a time to live in. Like just
Hmm.
having everything X-Men
Yeah.
must have
We
been
missed
so
it.
fun.
We
I
missed the
know.
window.
I missed
Uh,
the window.
but that's the animated series too. So
Yeah. And then we're getting X-Men 97 this fall, so I'm
oh, is it
hoping the
this
hype
fall?
comes back. Yeah. They actually
Lenore is
just announced
back,
a
right?
season 2.
Oh, already? Well, I
Yeah.
guess they have faith in it. Yeah, I know. Lenore Zan is back, which
Hmm.
she's. I mean, she's the voice I hear too.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
she's the voice I think everyone hears.
Oh yeah, I every time I read the comics, I only hear her. Like I only hear the animated series cast when I read the
Yeah.
comics.
Well, I alternate between with Wolverine. I alternate between him and Stephen Blum as well. Those are the two Wolverines I feel like I hear the most.
Yeah, I just you can't put another voice to it, honestly. The
Yeah.
whole cast is coming back except for the guy who did Scott. I don't know
Right. Yeah,
who
he died.
they.
Magneto did too. Magneto. That guy who played Magneto died as well.
Oh, he did. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
I don't
but
think they
otherwise,
announced who's voicing either of them yet. We just know that the originals for the others are back. except for Jubilee, the voice actress
Jubilee's
for her.
yeah, they changed her too. Yeah,
Mhm.
but otherwise, I think it's yeah. I mean, that was a fun lineup. I'm looking forward to that. So, what makes Rogue your favorite of of all characters? She's your favorite character, period, right? Not just X-Men, just in general,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So, what
Um,
makes her your favorite?
I just found like a connection with the character. I don't know. I was researching. I had created a character in my head of I when I growing up, I would create stories, scenarios in my
Mhm.
head. I was a very story driven person, and I always created characters. And this one girl I created, she was a superhero, and she could. I guess she was a villain with how I pictured her. She could take any power that she wanted to, but keep it permanently. That was the only
Mhm.
difference. Um, and I imagined her like taking Thor's power because Thor was like is the god of thunder. So I was
Uh,
like taking a god's power that's peak, right?
mhm.
But I never gave her a name. I always had her in my head, never gave her a name. And then one day I think I was researching Marvel women characters to like cosplay or something. I don't remember exactly, but I was researching them and I had stumbled upon Rogue because there were lists of like most powerful female Marvel characters, and Rogue was on one of them. And she piqued my interest. I read her description, and I was like, this is the character that I created. This is exactly the character that I created. I finally gave her a name, even though I didn't create her,
Right, right,
but
right.
um, I was like, this is my new favorite character. It's meant to be now. So from then on, I just started reading everything Rogue and researching her and uh, trying to cosplay something with her. And yeah, that's where it
That's
happened.
cool. That's what happened. Yeah, she's a great character. I mean, she's that's not a bad choice. So, do you
hmm
have any runners up then,
Um, for favorite characters, runner up.
or just any other favorites?
Oh yes, actually, Loki is another favorite character of mine. My first Funko Pop was a Loki Funko Pop actually, and then that blew up because now I have like almost 200 of them.
Oh
Um,
wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
it's wild. um, but I think Loki was actually my first favorite character. Um, because I was introduced to the MCU before the X-Men. Um, so Loki was my favorite character first, and then I found Rogue, and he got bumped down.
Yeah, to kick him off
Yeah.
or kick him down a spot. It happens. Do you think anyone will ever bump off Rogue, or is that just never?
Oh no, never.
No,
She
never
has a
happening.
special place in my heart. I just find like such a deep connection with the character. There's some similarities with her that I see with me,
Mhm.
and yeah,
That's
there's
how
just
it
that
happens.
connection. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone I think has those. It's not a bad first choice. Not a bad first choice at all.
Mm-mm.
Do you? Let's see. Yeah, I was just looking up like some of the designs the characters had over the years. Here, let me pull this up. Um, I mean, there's so many, right
Oh yeah.
here. Like this cover, I think had like all of them.
Yes. Actually, I think I have a comic, or maybe not, of like the different versions of Rogue. I think I do. Not that one, but it's a different one.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of these.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go. There's the evolution of it.
hmm
That one's cool too. I don't know what that one's from, but I mean the
Which
hood.
one?
This one with the hood.
Oh, that came. I forgot which comic run that was from, but that's like her current, not current look, but that's like her Excalibur look. Um, it's from I think like 2012 that look came out. I think or 2013. Until like 2020 or 2021. I think currently they went back to like the yellow and green.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think I remember because I mean they always do. They always have to go back to the Jim Lee design, which
Yeah,
I understand. It's probably my favorite too, if I'm being honest.
yeah. It's such an iconic look, and that's the suit that made her popular.
It's a hard one to beat. It's a hard one to beat. The
hmm
goth one too. I remember from X Men Evolution was
Yes,
that
I
you
love
did
that
that one
look.
too, right?
I did. I was actually thinking of bringing that one to Seattle to that con, but I really want to bring the suit that I just got. like last year, end of last year, that I puff painted. It's a suit design inspired by I forgot his name. He's an artist. What's his name? I need to look him up now. I tagged him in the photo too. But he's an artist and he created looks for the X-Men of how he thinks they would look in the MCU. His MCU inspired X-Men look.
Oh, look at that. I look up Goth Rogue and there you are.
Oh wow, that's funny. I feel like when you look up Rogue now on Google Images, you're just gonna find a lot of me.
You'll probably come up. Yeah.
Let's see. What's his name? Is it in my reels? I feel so bad. I always forget his name. Lucas. His name is Lucas. Lucas Wernick, I think, is how you pronounce it. I just remembered it. But he had created designs for the X-Men of what they would look like in the MCU to him. And I loved the look because I was like, it was like a mashup of the black suits that they wore in the X-Men movies and with like their corresponding colors. So Rogue being green. And she had like a gold X on the chest. And there was a print file that a company had. And I had bought that print file and printed it through Print Costumes. So they printed it on those like spandex suits. And then what people do with a lot of Spider-Man suits is that they puff paint the web designs. So that way it stands out more and it looks like better quality. So I decided to puff paint my suit to make those designs stand out. And it looks really cool. I still have some stuff to do with it. I even took, there's like a gold X on the chest. I took a gold vinyl that you can heat press on. And I heat pressed it onto the chest to make it shinier. And it came out pretty nice. So I'm thinking of bringing that one to the con. I just have to find a pair of shoes to go with it because I can't find really good ones.
So puff painting is, I didn't even think about that, the shoes, but I mean, because I know you have the Rogue boots and all of that.
Those are very uncomfortable. I need to look for new boots or like find a way to make my own. I'm thinking of actually doing those like boot cover things. So basically what you do with that is you wrap your leg up in the cellophane plastic and then draw the design on, cut yourself out of it, and then trace it onto a fabric. And so that fabric
physically cut yourself out of it?
Yeah. So I mean, like you just stretch a bit of the plastic and then carefully cut yourself out of the yeah. And it creates a stencil. Yeah, I know. It creates a stencil for you. So you just trace that onto fabric and you cut the fabric out, sew them together to create boot covers. Use like the spandex material for that. So that way it like stays up and stretches over your leg. But I'm thinking of making that for my costume because that is going to be much more comfortable because I could put whatever shoe I want on the inside of it. So just got to get a good sewing machine.
That all sounds like a lot, but it sounds like you enjoy doing it.
Right? Yeah. I mean, once you start it, you have that idea. Once you start, you're like, this is such a good idea. And then as you're doing it, you're like, this is so stressful. Why did I decide to do this? And then you start making mistakes and you're like, all right, I can't do it anymore. I need to take a break.
So are any of the costumes like comfortable or are they all?
Some of them are comfortable. Like the X-Men Evolution Rogue, that's just like regular clothing pieces put together. So that's like the most comfortable, right? But then these spandex suits are comfortable at times, but then after a while it's like, all right, I want to get myself out of this. I don't want to be in it anymore.
The sweaty con floors too, where it's all the people.
Yeah. My Rogue suit though, the yellow and green one, that one's actually comfortable. It's just the shoes that I need to change.
That was one of the things I remember because if you guys have never walked with a cosplayer at a con, it's like every couple feet, and you were enthusiastic the whole time. You never got annoyed. It was really just fascinating. We were walking in a group, and we would like be like, oh, let's go over there, like 2, I guess, blocks away. I don't know what they would call it. You guys, if you're at a con, you know what I'm talking about. And it was like every couple steps, oh, can I get a picture with you? And every time you had the same enthusiasm, sure. And I'm like, It's the 10th one, and you're still just like, we've maybe made it like this far. You
Yeah,
you got the
that's always so
poses
funny.
down too. Like I could just tell you're a professional.
I
And
mean,
I
that's
almost
where my
felt bad.
theatrical side comes from.
Oh yeah, you did theater, right?
Yeah, I very first time I did it was in the 3rd grade or 4th grade. I think it was 4th
Mhm.
grade. Um, where we did Gone with the Wind, which is such a weird
For
thing
third
to do
graders?
for it was at 4th grade, yeah. But even then, 4th grade is like it's such a weird thing to do. It was one of those shows where it's like they would take movies and put them on stage. So like there was like some other movies that they were doing. But this one we did Gone with the Wind, and
Mhm.
I actually got to play Scarlett O'Hara.
Oh, that's a
Um
big one.
and I mean, there was like because it was the 4th grade, you had to share the roles, right? So there was like 2 or 3 other girls that would play Scarlett O'Hara. But what made mine so iconic was I had her famous tuna casserole line.
Hmm.
Because it's like one of her most famous lines from that movie. Um, and I felt like really proud of that.
Hmm.
And then when I was actually reading, I don't know what comic it was, but a few times in the comics, Rogue is actually referred to as Scarlett O'Hara.
Oh,
And I
really?
was like, yeah, I was like, because she's from the South. I was like,
Right.
no way, did that just happen? Did I just read that?
It was
And
meant
then,
to be.
yeah, and then another thing that happened was in the 6th or 7th grade. I was in middle school. We read Midsummer Night's Dream in my literature class,
Mhm.
and I got to read the role for Titania throughout every class. And
Jesus
wow,
Christ.
oh my god,
There was like a whole biker gang just. All
oh
right,
my god,
they're
I get
gone
that
now.
sometimes here too.
Yeah, you
So
had a few trucks, I noticed, but I was like, that was ridiculous.
I also have the
Oh
window
my
open because it
God,
gets
they're
very
coming
hot
back.
in here.
All right, Jesus. And it's like, this isn't the first time, that might be the worst one, but like, they'll drive, like, specifically whenever I'm doing a live stream, like, now is the time,
Yeah.
or the conversation is getting interesting. Like, wouldn't it be funny if we.
Yeah. I mean, I live on a main road, so that happens all the time. I actually have the window open, so that's why you could probably hear some stuff because it gets very hot in here for like no reason.
Mhm.
Um, but going back to my
Yeah, before I
story,
was so rudely interrupted, yeah.
um, so I got to read the role for Titania in Midsummer Night's Dream, and uh, I would read it every class because the teacher loved my performance for Titania.
That's good.
And I later on reading the X-Men comics, it wasn't referred to in the comics, but I would like go on Instagram and you know how you go on the search page and you get like recommended posts to you.
Hmm.
I would see like some of Rogue and I'd click on them and they would be in a different language. I don't know if it was Portuguese that it was referred to in because I think it said like from Brazil, whatever. They would refer to as Titania.
Really?
Yeah, Rogue would
So
be
then who
referred
did they
to as
refer to
Titania.
Titania as?
Yeah, in I think it was Portuguese if I'm correct. I don't know. I have to look it
Yeah.
up
Oh,
now.
all right. You got it. You got it. I was about it too. So then, who do they call What do they refer to Titania as if Rogue is Titania?
I don't. Actually have no idea.
Titania 2, I guess. Titania?
I don't know if it was Portuguese, but what if I looked up like Titania? Okay, here we go. Titania Rogue Marvel. Um.
Is it just going to be those two characters?
Okay. Oh no. Well, Titania is a character in Marvel, so that
Oh
wouldn't work.
my God.
But I don't remember what language it was from. Maybe I have to like look this up. But I remember seeing it. I was like, why is she referred to as Titania? I guess it's like what they call her in Portuguese.
Yeah, that's
Um,
interesting. I'll have to look into that. So that's so you were always because I was in acting too, but I never did theater. I don't know why. I just didn't. And maybe I definitely should have in hindsight, but I've always been into filmmaking.
oh,
All right.
okay. I had just found it.
All right, what is it?
Um, so it says Rogue was known as Titania in the Mexican dub of the something. Where is it?
The
In the
show?
Mexican dub of X-Men the animated series.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. However, her name wasn't translated from the Venezuelan dub of X-Men. So she was referred to in Portuguese as Vampira.
Vampira?
Yeah.
That's a stretch. I guess because she like
Um,
sucks people's powers like a
yeah.
vampire.
Yeah, her draining reference to her draining powers, that's what it says. Um,
Did they not
I
have a word for rogue?
I have no idea. I don't know where Titania would come from. Maybe because like she was a powerhouse, like she was
Yeah.
really strong.
How tall is Rogue? She's not like.
I think on like the Marvel website it says she's like 5'8".
Yeah. I know Rogue is like 5'11". I'm not Rogue. Storm is like 5'11", 6 or 6 foot or something like
Yeah.
that, depending on the artist, I guess. But
But yeah, I I found that out and I was like, okay, there's that other connection I have with her. So there's two
are you
name
five
connections
eight?
that I have. No, I am 5'3". I am
I was like,
Wolverine
I was
height.
like, I was like, I don't remember you being,
I am Wolverine height. But I mean like heels help.
Yeah, they're good.
They're uncomfortable, but they help.
They do. So okay, so yeah, it was meant so Titania, who's that's a long connection, but it's so Titania, was whatever. What was it? The Mexican dub or
The
Venezuelan?
Mexican dub, yeah, and the Mexican dub of the animated series.
Okay, and then you got Scarlett O'Hara. That's.
Yeah,
I've actually I gotta confess I've never seen Gone with the Wind. I know I need to because I'm a filmmaker. I'm a film
I never
student.
have either.
It's 4 hours long.
Yeah,
Which
it's a
is
long movie.
which I'll get there eventually. After I rewatch all the Lord of the Rings, which will take me 12 hours.
Oh
I'll get
yeah,
there.
I actually we didn't binge watch the movies, but like we would watch. My brother and I would watch two extended cut. They were all extended cuts, right? We would watch two of them in one day, and it would be long. It would be
Mm-hmm.
such a long day, but they're
No,
such
yeah,
good movies,
they're
so
so
worth
good.
it.
And then yeah, there are parts where it's like definitely like the tree beards is definitely when it feels longer when they're like
Hmm.
slowly talking and going through. But even
Yeah.
then, I mean, it's great. It's worth it. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, I've
That
never seen
was
Gone with the Wind either, so
that
you're not
was
alone.
yeah, that was one of the weird things. People are like, "Oh, Endgame's gonna be 3 hours long." I'm like, that's not bad.
No.
That's not bad, especially when you have like gonna have action throughout it. Like you'll be fine. Like these,
Oh
it
yeah,
doesn't need to be.
it'll
The
go by
Snyder
fast.
Cut was brutal. That
Yeah.
felt like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Primarily because I'm not a fan of it in general. Like if I was a fan of the movie, probably wouldn't have felt that long. But
Yeah.
the slow mo. You take out the slow mo in that movie, it's like 2 hours long
Oh yeah. I
easily.
I I don't know why I decided to watch the Snyder cut, but I was like, I
That's
gotta
my
see
thought
what
too.
the hype is, right? So I watched it and I was like, this is way too long. I
No
can't
word.
sit and watch something that I don't enjoy for that
Yeah.
long.
I needed friends, and even then we watched it in halves. We watched like there was no it was so pretentious. They had like an interlude. It was in
Hmm.
like what was the aspect ratio? Um, you know, there was like the no color at all in a Justice League movie. That was fun. Like why would I watch gray Justice League? Like that's
Hmm.
not it's supposed to be colorful, and the
Yeah.
movie's so depressing.
I
It's so
know.
the whole time. It's like, oh, opening with Superman's death. Really? That's
Hmm.
how we want to start our Justice League? Like, I don't know. I like hope and optimism in Super. See, now it's you. Now it's your side. Still have yet to meet the biker gang, but what was I saying? But it's like I like superheroes. I like hope and optimism. That's one of the things in the colorful
Yeah.
nature of it. But so you're into film. You said you do. Do you still do film work? Because I still do some film work too.
I haven't done any in a long time. There were periods of time where I would go into the city and I would do some background acting, but I kind of not stopped doing it. I just didn't get as many things anymore. The one thing that probably is the reason why I didn't get any stuff anymore is because I was probably supposed to update my profile and I never did.
Mhm.
Um, but I kept myself busy with like other stuff. So, um, yeah, it's been a long time since I've done background acting for that, but I want to get back into it. But instead of like background, I'm thinking of taking like classes. Um, just to get back into that like side of me because I really enjoyed it. Doing theater in college really like solidified that it was what I wanted to do. Um, but I haven't done any like film stuff in a very long time. Um, so I mean, the closest thing I would get to it would just be like vlogging because
Mhm.
that's what I have done recently. Like, I think my dog just banged on my door. I can hear her. But yeah, I want to get back into it. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do in
Yeah,
film.
but yeah, I hear the dog.
Oh
Oh yeah,
yeah.
she's that was my first interview too. The dog also interrupted. Was like just like a destroying shit in his background.
Yeah. You want to know why? Because I have a plate of not food. I already ate it, but like I have a plate here of pizza that I had.
Oh,
Um,
that's
so
a,
she knows it's in here, so that's why.
yeah. That's I mean film stuff. Do you have any favorite movies then?
One movie that I really love is Dead Poet Society.
Oh, I love that
I
movie.
love that movie so much, and I just love Robin Williams,
Yeah,
and he was amazing in that film.
yeah, he was.
I
That one's phenomenal.
Yeah, that one- I remember seeing that in high school, and I remember like everyone in the class loved that movie so much because I took like a book to film class, um, and I remember like this was such a good movie, and I could watch this over and over again. I watched it again, I think during COVID, like 2020.
Hmm.
I was like, I'm in the mood to watch the movie again. So let me watch it.
That's a great one. I love that one so much. I
Hmm.
love. I didn't. It was a book. I didn't know that actually.
I don't know if it was a book, to be honest. I just remember watching it in my book to film class. I think there were times where we would just watch films in the class
They were like
and
book
not have
related.
them related to books. I don't remember though, because we would have read the book and
Yeah,
we
you
didn't read
did.
it.
Yeah, I mean maybe poetry close enough. You know, any excuse
Yeah.
to watch Dead Poet Society, you gotta take.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
you gotta
definitely.
take it, even if it's vaguely like who's gonna question it if you're
Yeah.
watching. Even the cast, like so many of them, like I forgot. I was just looking up. Yeah, Ethan Hawke. I totally forgot that he was.
Yeah.
He's
It's
great
like
in it.
it's got such good actors in it. It's like wow, like I forgot they were in it.
I remember I went through a phase where I was like watching those coming of age movies, like because they. I wanted to, if I wanted to write my own, you know, I was going back to the John Hughes. And have you ever
Hmm.
seen School Ties? Is criminally underrated. Have you ever seen that one?
I've heard of it, never seen it.
It's Brendan Fraser, Matt Damon, Chris O'Donnell, Ben Affleck. It's a really good movie. That one's a
Hmm.
great one too. I love that one. Yeah, I mean, that's a great choice. Did you have a favorite Marvel movie?
Uh, it's hard because like Thor Ragnarok was my favorite movie, Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to say it's probably like my most favorite or tie for most favorite because I love No Way Home, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what I love so much about Thor Ragnarok was that like a lot of it is just ad libbed, and
Oh, that
they
makes sense.
they just did whatever they wanted. Like that showed like how good actors can be
Mm-hmm.
in movies. Like to have a majority of the script be coming from the actors themselves and like vibing off of each other. That is like pure acting. I love it.
I love the. I'm thinking about that now. That movie. I was about to say that's the only Thor movie I haven't. I never saw Love and Thunder. But that was which Loki wasn't in that, right?
No.
Okay, so
No.
aside from Love and Thunder, which he isn't in, Ragnarok is the only Thor movie where Loki doesn't die. I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I'm sure you appreciated.
Oh
Um,
yeah. I
and
I
also,
loved him.
no resurrections this time. I was like, oh, maybe they want to. And then they announced a Loki series. I was like, oh, okay, guess you know.
Yeah, because now they have the multiverse and they can kind of get away with bringing
Yeah,
back people.
it's like okay, you can. That's like the most comic. To be fair, I do like the comic booky stuff. Like, cause let's not pretend like they don't do that crap all the time. But like
Oh
the
yeah.
whole, oh, it's not a resurrection; it's a different version. It's like, come on, like
Yeah.
really, like, oh, it's a slightly different version of Loki who's played by the same actor.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at Gamora.
Yeah.
She
Oh, she was coming back. There's no. I don't think
Oh yeah.
anyone thought she was gonna. They were gonna kill off
Oh yeah.
Zoe Saldana.
It's
No.
not the same variant, but like now she's in this timeline, so it's like a
Right.
resurrection.
Yeah. No, that they're not gonna. Infinity War. I understand people were like, which the scenes of the deaths, even if you knew they weren't gonna stick, like that Spider-Man, that scene's gonna stick with you forever, right?
Hmm.
Regardless if obviously they're not gonna kill off Peter Parker.
Oh
It was
no.
very obvious, but it's still the fact that it was real for the characters, made it real. Have they
Oh
killed
yeah.
off Rogue ever? I think once, at least, that I
Yeah.
know of.
Yeah. But like they find ways to bring them back.
Yeah,
And,
like Fall.
she's sacrificed herself multiple times, so.
Yeah, Fall of the Mutants, they killed her off, but then they brought her back within that same issue.
Hmm.
So that didn't really. I'm trying to think. Normally, the nerds in my comments are always correcting me on everything, and then I don't know where they are right now, but I'm sure they'll be commenting, later. Actually, Vaughn, an issue, whatever,
Yeah.
like, which I welcome, by the way. I
Oh
totally
yeah.
welcome that. I like when people, tell me I'm wrong. I especially love when they tell me I'm wrong, and then I'm like, actually, I'm right. Uh, that's the
Yeah.
best. That's the best feeling ever.
I love being like, actually, that is
Yeah,
incorrect.
yeah. It's it is. We like to hate. We hate them when they go after us, but then when you're the one being the smug one, it's the best. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I understand why people do this. This is very
Oh
fun.
yeah.
It's so fun. That's. Is there anything? So you've got a couple cons coming up throughout the year. Do you go? Are you going like all over the country now? It sounds like.
I don't want to because it's so expensive.
Right.
But there may be a chance of me going to San Diego Comic-Con. I'm not sure yet. But I'm very much looking forward to that. I have to see, when is Terrificon?
Terrificon, it's 28th to 29th, I think. I remember because 27th is my birthday, so it's pretty easy to remember.
Oh, 28th to the 30th.
Oh, 30th.
When is San
Oh,
Diego? Because San Diego's also in July.
I was no way. There's no way they would do them.
Oh no, July 19th to 23rd. Okay, so it's the weekend before.
Any con that does it the same weekend as San Diego is shooting themselves, or New
Oh,
York is
oh
they're
yeah.
shooting themselves in the foot.
There was actually
Unless
one con where it was like that, where it was same time as New York. I don't remember which one though.
the better be in like Alaska or something, where it's like
Yeah.
nowhere. But even then, people will travel to New York. Unless you're like literally from Alaska and it's like a block away, you're gonna go to New York anyway.
Oh yeah.
Same with San Diego. They call it international, don't they? Because it's just like everyone.
They do, yeah.
I've never been to it. Have you been to San Diego before?
No. So
I
this
haven't
will
been
be
to
my
San
first
Diego.
time.
Period.
No, I've never been.
Neither have I. Always want to go to the San Diego Zoo because they have like all my favorite animals were there. I remember every
Hmm.
time I'd read, I was into animals like when I was little, like pandas, and then I found out the San Diego Zoo had all of them, like all of my like favorite ones,
Hmm.
and then I just kind of forgot about that. But yeah, I'd love to go there. That was
I
kind
heard
of
San
random.
Diego's really nice anyway, so just love to visit in general.
Top Gun, yeah, the top. Did you see the new Top Gun?
I didn't. So I heard really good things
So
about it,
good.
but I haven't.
And this comes from someone, if I'm being honest, the original, and I'm probably going to get shit for this. Original's not that good. It's fun, but it's so all right. If you like, they play the song "Take My Breath Away" like 5 times.
Hmm.
Every time something mildly romantic happens, that song starts playing, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Again, Danger Zone they play 3 times. Like the soundtrack consists of like 2 songs.
Hmm.
They play over and over. They really got their usage out of them, which is honestly a
Yeah.
smart financial decision. If I get the rights to one song, and then, although everyone, no, I'm the only person on earth I think that complains about that. Apparently,
Hmm.
I don't know. I thought the new one is fantastic. The new one is so good. You should watch both in general. Like I'm
Yeah.
not dissing the original, by the way. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just don't think people are like it's one of the best movies ever. I wouldn't go that far, but I still think it was very good.
Hmm. My dad loves Top Gun. It's like one of his
Oh
favorite movies of
shit.
all time. And his number one favorite movie is Casablanca.
Oh, that's that. Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. Imagine if like you got kids to do Casablanca too. Like Gone with the Wind is such an odd choice
I
for
know.
fourth graders.
I
So did you
don't
have to
know why.
change? Frankly, I don't give a damn. Did you have to? Frankly, I don't give a dang. Like, did you have to change that line?
Yeah, I think I said that line, but I wish there was a video. I don't know if
Yeah.
there is a video, but I
I
wish
had to
there was.
play. There is footage of it, I'm sure. of I had to play Ryan in the High School Musical play. I don't know if you know Ryan,
Oh
Jim
my
Sharpay's brother.
god.
That was a lot of fun. I got to find footage of it. The outfit I had was like horrendous. It was my mom went into a thrift shop and bought like the ugliest crap. Um,
I've always wanted to do High School Musical.
yeah, we got to do that. Aren't they? They have High School Musical, the show or
Yeah,
something. Why the heck?
it's a
Like,
show.
what was that title? It's funny though.
I don't know, but apparently it's good. Like people like
Yeah,
it.
I heard it was good. I remember because I posted my story. It was like, why would they call it that? My friend was like, hey, back off. This is a good show. And I was like, all right, man.
I haven't seen it, but
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I will eventually. I don't know.
I'm not a big musical guy.
I love musicals.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
I
what got
could
me in
tell.
theater.
Which is why. So wait, was Gone in the Wind? They didn't make that a musical, did they?
No.
I was gonna say that would be weird.
Well, okay, so it wasn't a musical, right? But at the end, we had like a musical number. So you know the song "Walking on Sunshine"?
Yes, of
That
course.
that was the song
Classic.
that we would like dance to. I guess it was just a dance. It wasn't like singing. We wouldn't sing
To the
because we would have the
the
backtrack.
Civil War movie, Walking on Sunshine. They use
What?
that. They use the Walking on Sunshine for the Civil War play. Because
Oh, yeah. I was like Civil War movie. I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
was
no,
thinking
not
I
that.
was thinking
No,
Captain America Civil War. I was like,
yeah.
what?
They've already gotten to us. Yeah, the kids are gonna be like, oh yeah, so, yeah. I'm referring to the one where like
Yeah.
people died. Really, Walking
I
on Sunshine? That seems like an odd music choice.
I mean, I don't think it was anywhere connected to the show. It was just like one of those things like, let's have the kids dance now. Have a
Yeah,
choreographed number.
they felt bad. They're like, why are we making the kids do this? Like, all right, let's give them
I
like a fun song.
I really wish there was footage of this. I don't know if we have any.
There are so
But
many times where when I was little, I'd be like, oh, thank God there's no footage of this embarrassing thing in my life. And now as I get older, I'm like, I wish there was footage of this embarrassing thing in my
yeah.
life. It's the
Yeah.
thing, I got so mad because like I was the other day, so like I had my 10-year anniversary on YouTube. And I was looking through trying to find all the hate comments, and I was so mad. I'm like, did I really delete them all? I was like so mad because I was like, these are so funny, and I deleted all of them because I was like upset. So that's a lesson, if you have embarrassing stuff on your phone, keep it. Maybe don't embarrass yourself now, but 10 years from now, you'll want to embarrass yourself.
Oh yeah.
In the
Yeah,
office.
definitely. I
In
just
the
like
office.
I don't remember if there was like a set for this play. I just remember there being a backdrop of what was it? It was like an somewhere icy. Alaska? Was it Alaska? Antarctica? I don't remember.
Canada, uh,
No.
where are the icy place? Russia, Soviet Union.
There was like they were talking about like some place burning in Gone with the Wind. I
Yeah,
don't remember what was burning, but like that was the backdrop. I don't know if they had like a screen, those projector screens, and like just had images.
so weird. That's such
Like I
an
said, fourth
odd.
grade doing Gone with the Wind. I don't know. I have the picture of like it's like a class photo, but with the drama club of us like in our attire. Oh, I
Mm,
think I know what it was. I I think it was like multiple plays with um like so like people in the drama club would be in like multiple plays. I only did one.
mm,
But because we had to wear a white top, black pants, everyone, so it was like all uniform. And then I remember for the photo that we took, I got to wear the red skirt and the red bow because I was the shortest. No, we all had red bows, but I got to wear the red skirt because I was the shortest one in the
mm.
group. And so I had to be on the floor in the middle. And so I got to wear the red skirt in the photo. And that was a skirt that like the girls would wear for their parts. So like I would wear Scarlet.
I remember being the short side for middle school. That was so frustrating. That
Yeah.
was so because it was like I remember I used to be always on the taller side when I was in elementary school, and then
Mhm.
I was older for my grade, which made it even worse because I had less of an excuse, I guess, to be short. And I remember everyone was just going past me, and I was like, "Slow down!" And I would slowly they'd line us in height order, and then I would slowly get closer and closer to the back.
Mhm.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on the short scale my whole life, so
Oh yeah. No, they took it away from me and then they gave it back in increments and you're like, yeah, you can be like average height. I'm like, great. Thank you so much. That's and a lot of
I
my
was
friends are tall too, so it's like even
yeah.
if I'm technically above average height, it's like it doesn't all my
So
friends are tall.
it's funny because like I had looked up, I was like my whole life I was thinking I was average height, 5'3" average height, and then I looked up what average height was for a female. It was 5'5", and I was
Right.
like,
Oh, it's
all
five
right,
five? I thought it was five
yeah,
four.
it was 5'5" apparently. I was like, all right,
What? I thought it was.
thanks.
All right. Well, it's people don't. I care about at least that I know. Right. I've never heard a guy be like, "Yeah, too short, 5'3". Never heard
Yeah,
that. I don't think it really
at least I'm not like 5 foot. I would hate to be 5 foot. I'm
5 foot.
sorry.
Sorry. Shout out to all the 5 foot people in the
Yeah,
audience.
Ariana Grande, sorry. Lady
Oh,
Gaga,
she five.
sorry. Well, Ariana and Lady Gaga are like 5'1", I think, but like still.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look tall, right? But they're really
Oh, I don't
short.
know. I never really, paid attention to their height. If I'm being honest, it was just kind of like, oh, they're good at singing. She's good and Victorious.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
I loved that show so
I was
much.
rewatching it. I don't care. It's still funny to me.
The humor you don't understand until you're older.
Oh, there are so many jokes. I'm like, how did they get away with
Yeah.
that? There
Dan
are jokes
Schneider.
where, well, yeah, and then he's not.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Yeah.
like, separating the art from the artist, those shows are great. Like they were
Oh
so
yeah.
funny. Even just like like it was like why would like having one of the kids basically have multiple personality disorder like Robbie like he straight up thinks his puppet's alive like that is like the
Yeah.
weirdest and we're just kind of accepting it like okay Chicago is one of the greatest scenes of all time the
Mhm.
Trina Vega I think is one of the funniest characters ever
Yeah.
that
Um
shows
Psychowitz having
oh
a
my
teacher
god
that was like on crack.
yeah or that show was like I was rewatching it. It's still funny to me. Like it's
Yeah.
still because some people are like sometimes you rewatch stuff and you're like, eh. Like honestly, if I'm being honest, and again, maybe I'll get crap for this. Sweet Life has its moments. I don't
Mhm.
think it's that good. But like
I
iCarly is
love
still
Sweet Life.
funny.
Oh yeah.
iCarly is still funny. Drake and Josh is still funny. Victorious is still funny.
Yeah, I think
Those three are
Nickelodeon had the funniest shows.
Nickelodeon was always better than Disney Channel. Always. In my opinion, at least.
Mhm.
They all like Disney Channel was like the backup if there was nothing on Nickelodeon that I wanted to watch.
Yeah,
Also, they had
I would
SpongeBob
balance
too,
between the
which
two.
yeah, I did too. Oh, I had the channel numbers memorized.
Yeah, me too.
It's this and then Cartoon Network sometimes, but like yeah, I mean Wolverine and the X-Men was Nick too. That was Nick Toons. Did you ever watch that show?
What show was it?
Wolverine and the X-Men?
I didn't watch it until like 2 years ago, I think.
That one was good. Probably you probably might not like it as much. Not enough Rogue. Um, but it was still good. It was weird
I
that they made Wolverine the leader of the X-Men over Storm and Cyclops. That
yeah.
was that was definitely a marketing decision.
Yeah.
Also, that he was tall. Wolverine is
Yeah.
supposed to be.
I mean, I guess if it's not weird so much cuz like Hugh Jackman plays
Oh yeah,
Wolverine and he's very tall, so I guess it
very.
didn't come off as that weird.
He's a full foot taller than the character's supposed to be,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is great. I hope that if they do Wolverine in the MCU, unless they go with Hugh, then it's fine. But if they don't go with Hugh, I want a I want a short, hairy Wolverine.
A short hairy Wolverine.
Yeah, specifically, yes, just like the comics. Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Yeah, that's what I want too.
Yeah. I want Cyclops to be taller than Wolverine and Storm. I love Storm towering over Wolverine
Oh
too.
yeah.
Whenever she's
Storm is a
getting kind of
goddess. She like
yeah,
has to be.
yeah. Storm's great. They're all just like the best characters
Oh
ever.
yeah.
Colossus has to be the tallest, of course. Just
Yeah.
yeah. What was so? I mean, look, it's been great. Do you have anything you want to shout out? Anything you're working on?
Um I guess no, really. I mean, the only thing that I would really like shout out would be my social media pages. I would say like my YouTube as well, but I'm so bad at posting on YouTube and like
Mm,
trying to get content out for that. But
mm.
I know when I go to Seattle, when I go to Chicago, I'm going to be vlogging and trying to do like some comic stuff. Um, hopefully more cosplay stuff too. But yeah, just my social medias and my Instagram, especially because like I want to reach 100K this year on there, and I love how it's like going right now. I'm favoring Instagram more than TikTok right now, to be honest.
Yeah,
But
I've been doing that for a while. It's TikTok. TikTok is one of those. I don't know if it's drain because I guess YouTube is technically more draining. I've always been partial to YouTube. Um,
mhm.
it's managing. You always are going to have one that's like falling through the cracks in terms of just. I made sure to put your link tree. Oh no, I put the Instagram one. I meant to put your. Hold on a second.
Oh, my link
Your
tree.
yeah, or your beacons.
Oh yeah,
That's
beacons. I
different.
changed to beacons.
Oh yeah,
Forgot
here
I
we
did
go.
that.
Oh, I accidentally put it on the
Oh
screen.
wait,
All right.
somebody actually did it.
That was me.
Oh, oh, I
Yeah.
see. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone, make sure to check her out on this. Keep up with all the socials, and yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess
it.
anything else you wanted to throw out there, or
I mean, if you're going to any cons, if you're gonna be in Seattle, if you're gonna be at Chicago, I'll be there. Just don't be afraid to say hi. Um, I am definitely gonna be checking out Terrificon this year. I remember I went one day last year. So I might do like 1 or 2 days this year, depending on if I get to see Chris Claremont one
and
day or
get
not.
the fourth signature on your issue, right?
Yes.
You've
So
got
I
Jim Shooter.
Yes,
I don't
I
know.
need him, and then I want Lenore Zan to sign the comic as
Oh
well.
yeah. Hang on.
I
Let
would
me
just
see Avengers Annual 10. Who else? Because it's always I always try and get. How many? How much did you say you got that first appearance for?
I think 100.
Let's see. Armando Gill inked it. Let's see. See. Okay. He's yeah. All right. Armando Gill.
I'm bringing the comic to, Chicago because the whole cast of the X-Men is gonna be there.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
So I'm gonna try and get a photo op with all of them because they have, like, a bundle photo op. And,
That's cool.
I'm gonna try and meet
I
them.
met the guy who played Gambit. He was really cool. Really
Oh,
cool
yeah,
dude.
what's his name?
I
Chris
forget his
Potter.
name. Yeah, it's weird hearing them talk because he doesn't have an accent. Also, that Rogue is it's the Lenore Zan's not even American, but she
No,
does a
no, they're all
Southern accent
Canadian.
perfect. Oh, they all Canadian?
They're all Canadian. Yeah.
There's so much talent up north.
I know, right? Like, I feel like a lot of voice
Honestly,
actors come from Canada. Um,
artists too, like
mhm.
John Byrne.
But I was watching, because Lenore Zan worked in Parliament in the Canadian government.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, and I was watching a video of her on YouTube, and she was like speaking in Parliament, and I was like, I can't. I just see Rogue. Like, I can't see anybody else right now. Rogue is speaking. It's not Lenore Zan.
That's
It's
crazy.
not the
Yeah.
woman of Parliament right now.
Yeah, that would be almost scary if like no one could take her seriously. Thankfully, people seem to be able to. But like, if
Yeah.
that was the case, if she just talked like that, and everyone was like, "Okay, Rogue," then again, maybe they'll take you more seriously if you're Rogue. Almost,
Yeah.
it's like,
I
all
mean,
right,
like,
what do you say?
she doesn't have a seat in Parliament anymore. She got elected out. But I mean, like, she's doing well for herself. She is now in the MCU, working on season 2 of X-Men 97 already. So
Oh yeah, all right, because multiverse, I guess.
yeah.
Anyway, this has been a ton of fun. I'll see you guys next time. Oh, I do want to. All right, so later today, I am announced. So my next guest, they already are all scheduled on my channel. You can find it out. But I have Rob Hunter, who is an inker. He did some X-Men stuff. He did a comic book that I edited. He was an inker for Hunter Ninja Bear. He has a new book coming out and a bunch of other stuff. He's worked for Marvel, DC, CrossGen, maybe Image. But anyway, he's industry veteran. So make sure to check that out if you guys are interested tonight at 7. And I'll see you guys next time. All right. Take care.
Bye.